Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day, as always. And today I want to talk about, I forget the name. Well, that's how it goes. uh, anyway, what I really want to talk about today is what you're doing, experiencing, okay? And what that is basically a falsehood, okay? Because that's the way it is, all right? Now, we have been taught to believe in the world as we think it is, okay? By people who didn't know any better. It's nobody's fault, but the fact is, it's not true, okay? The world we think we believe in just isn't true. That's the way it is. There is a true world, a true experience, and that is awakening. Now, what we do is we push away what we don't want, and we pull in what we do want, okay? And when we do that, we're setting up suffering because that's just the way it is. Desires are precursors to suffering. You want something, okay, and you want it for however long you want it. And if you don't have it, because whatever, then you're going to be in suffering, okay? Like love. Basically, what we think is that you have to find your other half, right? That's what we think because you're not complete, right? I mean, you've heard the old stories about the Inuit in Alaska and how they were once complete and then the gods didn't like what they were doing and they tore them apart. And now we all have to find our other half in order to be complete. It's bullshit. You are already complete because you are a soul. All these things which the world has taught us, okay, which some of it was good, okay, we have to survive. We have to not be killed, not have bad things happen to us. So we have to watch out. Okay? But the rest of it is basically falsehood. And what that means is that we have to wake up from the dream. The dream of the world we've been taught to believe in. Okay? That's it. What happens when things happen, good or bad, is we have resistance. Okay? And that resistance goes both ways. If something bad happens, we resist it. Okay? And if something good happens, okay, we also resist. We resist that good thing from ending. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay? Like love. Okay? You love your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or whoever it is that you love, or maybe you don't have any of those. Okay? But you resist that love ending. Okay? And you're afraid that the love is going to end. Because basically, it's not coming from a place of presence. Okay? And that fear is a resistance against the isness of life. What is the isness of life? It's all going away. That's what it is. Everything is impermanent. Okay? Everything that you love and everything that you care about is going away. Because everybody has to do what everybody has to do. And part of that is parting from the ones we love. That's just the way it is. You love your mom, and you get to a certain age and you're like, yeah, she's full of shit, I'm going elsewhere. And then a few years pass and you're like, yeah, she's pretty smart, I better go talk to her. Okay, because that's just the way it is. So these falsehoods which cause the resistance, okay, that you're feeling are not you. We think they're us. We think they're part of what makes us who we are. Like our memories, our history. But that's not what it is. We're defined by our spiritual quality. That's what we're defined by. We're not defined by anything else. And as long as we think we are defined by something else, then we're going to be in resistance. Okay? Not that not being who you are is so terrible, but it causes suffering. Okay? Who you are is a soul. That's who you are. Okay? You can think that you're a professor or a law student or a baker or whatever. Those are just roles, parts that you are playing to get through life. And why do you want to get through life? To get to the good stuff, right? That's what it is. Okay, and so this resistance is a problem, and it wears you out. Okay? You ever feel like for no reason at all, you're just tired? Like your energies have been depleted because you're resisting what is. Okay? I know I felt that many times in my life. Okay? Because I was fighting against the isness. And when we're fighting or resisting, okay, then we don't have peace. We don't have really anything that is good. Because even though we may be in love, okay, we're not really in love. Maybe we felt something, but eventually the love turns into frustration or regret. Why? Because it was never there to begin with. Because we were just trying to complete each other. Okay? I mean, that's what romantic love appears to be, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not talking about sex or anything else. We're just falling in love. We meet the other person that we think is our other half. And they meet a need in us. They fill the void. And we're running from the void. We don't want the void. Okay? We want to fill it. And we want to fill that void with someone who will help us not be lonely. Because we're lonely. And that's just the way it is. Because of judgments that we pass on ourselves. But what we have to try and do is recognize that we are resisting what is. And that resistance is causing us suffering. Okay? Either something you want, you're resisting that it's going to go. Or something you don't want, you're resisting that it'll stay. That's it. And in order to awaken, in order to get out of the trap permanently, okay, we have to stop the resistance. Okay? That's all there is to it. And we do that by recognizing what we're doing. And the only way to do that is to go into the now. That is where we need to be in order to see what is going on with our life. We have to do the work within us in order to get enlightenment. Enlightenment is so good, but it takes work. And that work can be done just by suffering. Okay? Absolutely. Plenty of suffering options available. Okay? And that will eventually wake you up. But the question is, how long is it going to take that suffering to wake you up? Okay? If you don't want to have to live through the suffering, and I don't want you to have to live through the suffering, then you need to start the work now. And we start the work now by not resisting. The world is as it is. If you try to make it what it isn't, then you're resisting. Okay? You're putting forth a fantabulous idea of what is, okay? And you're sticking to it. It's your plan. It's your idea of the world, okay? And that idea could be filled with all sorts of things, like a mate, someone that loves you, so on and so forth, okay? And love is great. Love is fantastic. Having someone to be with is great. But if we resist the loss of love, I don't know how many times you've all fallen in love, but I've fallen in love quite a number of times. And you know what's happened every single time? It's ended. Because I was grasping at the other person, trying to keep them from leaving. There's like a bargain. You make a bargain with someone when you fall in love with them. And that bargain is, as long as you meet my needs, I'll meet your needs. As long as you love me, I'll love you. So on and so forth. As long as you be this person that I think you are, I will love you. But the minute you stop being this person that I think you are, which is really an image of the person, not really the person itself, okay? You get this idea of what the person is that we love, okay? And when that person no longer matches with the idea, then the love fades out. Frustration and regret take its place. So, in order for that not to be the case, in order to have real love, which is love that does not depend on what the other person does, okay? Where there's no conditions, which is an incredible thing. We have to stop resisting. We have to let these things go. And that includes everything. Because life is but a dance, and you are only playing a part in it. If you try to hold on to that dance and make it your own, so many people do, then you're suddenly out of it. You're not really experiencing the dance. Okay? The beautiful, wonderful dance that life is. And so, what we want to try and do is look at our lives Look at what we're doing to the people in our lives and what we're doing to ourselves with this resistance. Okay? And the only way we can do that is by going into the now. You can't look at things when you're trapped in time. Just doesn't happen. Won't happen. But you can look at things when you're in the now, because then you can see clearly. You can see it without the emotional overlay, without the rationalizations, without all the stuff you pile on top of whatever it is. And that's what we do, okay? Because it's part of human nature to do that, okay? And without the judgments that you have piled on top of everything too, okay? And the only way to do that is from the now. And the way to get into the now is to just concentrate on one thing. Your breath, your chi, or a tree, or a candle flame, or anything else that you feel like concentrating on, okay? And I mean, don't even use the word concentrate. Just pay attention to one thing, okay? And if you just pay attention to one thing, then the mind will shut off. The thinking will stop, okay? And you will be in the now. And as you're doing that, as you're paying attention to just one thing, thoughts will come up. You can either follow that thought and lose the now, or you can accept it and let it go. Okay? Those are your options. And once you're in the now, then you can look at yourself. Look at what it is you're doing. Look at what your actions are causing other people to feel. Okay? So, and look at where you're resisting, where you're holding on, where you won't let go. And see that it's not what you thought it was. Okay? I know it's really easy to resist, to hold on to things. Okay? Because we've been trained to do that. Throughout your life, you have been taught to do that. Okay? When we're kids, we're given toys. And we want more toys. Then we want to acquire new toys. Okay? And that's what's important, is getting the new toys. So we behave. Okay? And so on and so forth. And then we grow up and we want toys too, right? We want a new car, or we want a jet ski, or whatever it is. Okay? And we know the only way to get that is to behave by going to work and being serious and always hang on. The freedom of letting go is so great. But we can't seem to do that because we're resisting the fear of loss. Is like a monkey on your shoulder. It's always there, okay? Whether it's the loss of a love, or the loss of a thing, or the loss of money, or whatever it is, it's there. And that fear of loss is making you behave in a way that's really not you. Okay? You are an incredible, beautiful, wonderful soul. That is who you are. But all these behavior patterns and the way you think about things, okay? I forget what they call it. It's a clinical name. It doesn't matter. Traits in your mind, the way you think of things, okay? All of it is just covers over the good stuff, okay? And we need to break those traits, okay? In order to get the good stuff, okay? Now, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to bring in some popular culture, okay? To help you understand where you're at. And this popular culture is the movie The Matrix, which everybody has seen, I think. Most people have. Okay? And there is a matrix, okay? Absolutely, there is a matrix. And absolutely, you are in it. But the matrix is within you. It's not out here. This isn't a video. This is a video, but generally speaking, the things we see in the real world are what we see. Okay? But there's a matrix within you. And Neo, which is new, that's what the word Neo means, generally speaking. Okay? It's, I guess, Latin. Okay? New. He was the new one. He was the one that they were looking for. And because he was the one, but he didn't know it, they had to help him, didn't they? To find out he was the one. Well, in this real world, you are the one. Okay? You are the one. You are Neo. And the matrix is the ego and all its machinations to control you. Every time you see something, every time you feel something, every time you taste something, every time you touch something, you're feeling and tasting this matrix of ego-ness. Because the ego is there to get what it wants, which is success or failure. Okay? So this matrix that is within you, okay, that is blinding you to what is, was set up by everyone. Okay? No, there's no evil machines who made it happen. Just ordinary people. Okay? But this matrix is part of you because that's how it is. Okay? And as long as you are under the control of the matrix, you can't be free. But you are the one. You are the one who can break free. You're the one that can be free by accepting and stopping the resistance. That's the way it is. I guess that's enough about movies. Anyway, so try and realize that you are not the one making the thoughts. I know that's really hard. We all think that we're the ones making the thoughts. That's what we think, okay? Because anything else would be unthinkable, right? But in reality, what's making the thoughts isn't you, because you are a soul. And a soul doesn't think. The ego, the mind, is what thinks. And those thoughts are not necessarily anything to do with you. But as long as we cling to the thoughts and say, it's mine, which we do with all sorts of things aside from thoughts, but that's what we do. I came up with the great idea. I blah, 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 blah. If you listen to, scientists and people who have come up with great ideas, they say the idea comes out of nothing. Einstein said that relativity came out of a different place, that he didn't think of it. It just came. And musicians have felt this too. The song just appeared in their playing. So, try to accept that this thing that's doing the thinking isn't you. That is the first step on the spiritual path. I know it's difficult, but it can be done. Just try to pay attention to one thing, and then you'll find the real you. When you're in the now, the real you is there. Okay? Okay? And you can feel that. I know it's hard to realize that this is so. Okay? And you don't have to believe in what I'm saying, but the fact is, you've already known it. Okay? Because you know there's something missing in your life. You know that there is a void. And you think maybe a person or a cigarette or a cup of coffee or whatever can fill that void, or money or power or fame. But it can't. The emptiness within can only be filled with God. We think God left us. God put us in this person, this baby, okay? And then he left. And now we're alone. We're not with God anymore. We used to be part of God. And when you're part of something, and that then you're taken apart from that something, you feel alone, right? So you are a soul. Okay, that is what you are. On top of that soul has been laid this person. Okay? On top of that soul has been laid the history of your life. But that stuff isn't who you are. Your divine identity is that of consciousness. Nothing can change your consciousness. Nothing can happen to your consciousness. Your consciousness is eternal. It's the same consciousness that's going through me, and it's going through every other person on this planet. And that consciousness makes us one. Okay? We all think it's my consciousness. I'm the one that's this consciousness, and your consciousness is different from mine. Okay? My consciousness was made by my brain, which is unique, and therefore it's mine. That's what we think, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. But that's not how it is. There's one. There's also the many, which is an expression of the one. And that's all that really matters. As long as we believe that we are the expression of God, okay? Not God, but just something he made. Which we do, if we believe in God at all. Because you are God. Because your soul, it was a part of God and will be a part of God again. We're born and the soul is separated from God. And that makes us feel alone. And then time goes by and we try to fill that aloneness with other people. You know? And that doesn't really work because everything is constantly changing. The only thing we can try and do is realize that God is with us. God hasn't gone anywhere because we have a connection through our soul to God or through our consciousness to God. That connection is real. We don't think we have it. We think that it's not real, but it is. And only by not thinking can you find that connection. Only by going into your own body, okay? Through breathing or through finding your chi, which everyone should be able to do. Or by paying attention to one thing, like a candle flame, or a tree, or a flower, or whatever it is, and not paying attention to anything else, not your thoughts, not your feelings, none of that stuff. I know that's hard, but once you start paying attention to one thing, the feeling of the breath coming in your nose, just pay attention to that. And the thinking will stop and you will be in the now. And then you can see the truth. The truth is that you are not a person. You have a personhood upon you that was thrust upon you by others who were also had personhoods on them, and so on and so forth. But that's not who you are. And this resistance that is constantly in your life, which is making you feel bad, is a symptom of the falseness that you have been told and taught to be. Well, clock on the wall is telling me it's time to go. I love you all because you're me. We are one. Please, if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments, and I will answer those in the comments or with the video. I need feedback. I know it's hard sometimes to try and give feedback. You don't know what to say. But anything you say, any question you have about anything I've said, I'll be happy to talk about that on another video. To help you to awaken. To help you get on the spiritual path. That's the whole purpose of what I'm doing. Well, have a great day and a great life.